Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and last night I saw Insidious The Red Door, which is the 5th entry in the Insidious franchise, but technically speaking, this could be considered number 3, because continuity-wise, number 3 and 4 were prequels, so this one is actually taking place after the second movie. I mean, years later, but still, look, just trust me, this could be essentially number 3. Alright, so anyways, so we are finally following back with our main family that we started off with in the first 2 Insidious movies. This is about a decade later, and I actually love that, at least as far as I could tell, it seems like they got all of the cast back, even like the kids who were playing the kids. They got the same people to be the kids again, so that was actually kind of cool, you know. Very clear continuity because they actually look like the people they're supposed to be playing, you know. Anyways, so yeah, as you saw from the trailers, it's essentially at the end of the second movie they had gotten their memories erased, and that was supposed to be their way of like closing off their astral projecting into the ghost realm and all that stuff. And you know, slowly their memories start coming back after the death of a family member, and you know, they're off to college and their family's all divided now, and you know, it's just that kind of thing, right, where their memories start coming back. And what I really love about this movie is that they have essentially the plot being taken from 2 separate angles. You have the son, Dalton, who was the original kid who got lost in the first movie. He's off in college now, and he's slowly, he's having to rediscover everything because, again, their memories got erased. So he's rediscovering the fact that he can astral project, and that he's figuring out what this ghost world is and what the rules are, and like, you know, how much they can affect the real world while they're in this ghost realm. And then the dad is also regaining his memories, and he's figuring out about his father, and like it was like this thing that's been passed down through their family, this ability to do this. And so I actually appreciate that, like, you had these 2 people kind of rediscovering the rules, and like this, you know, basically coming together at the end in the 3rd act to, like, you know, end things, right? But yeah, that's basically the movie. I will say overall this one had a decent amount of jump scares. I don't think it ever quite reaches the heights of that very first Insidious movie, because for me, and I rewatched these pretty recently, the first Insidious movie, especially the first half of it, had legitimately great scares, like all time. These are really working. They're amazing scares, and this one has a couple of really great jump scares in it, but it never quite gets there, you know. So if you're in there with a full audience, and you know, you're gonna have a bunch of people jumping and going, oh no, don't look behind you, you know, like, you're gonna get those moments in this movie. And so it's definitely one of those things where, like, you watch it with a whole group of people, and everyone kind of like, they react to the jump scares when they happen, and it's fun that way, right? Like, that's part of the theater going experience. And so for horror movie audiences, you do get that. It delivers on that. Story wise, I actually really enjoyed this, you know. Like, essentially it's about how the entire thing centers around how at the end of the second movie, when their memories got erased, you know, maybe that was not the best way to deal with it. Maybe blocking out all that trauma was not the healthiest solution here. And so, you know, they essentially have to confront their trauma and work together as father and son to, you know, finally shut off and close the red door to the further and all that. I will say something I'm kind of disappointed by is that in all the Insidious movies, or at least the main first 2, you had your red-faced demon creature guy, and he's in this movie also, right? Like, he's in the 3rd act of this movie, but we still don't know, like, what's his deal? What is, you know, he plays that creepy song on the record, you know, the do 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 do, you know, that one. But I kind of wish that one of these movies would finally, like, go into it and be like, okay, here's what this demon is, and here's what's up with this weird room that he's in, and what he's doing here, right? Because we never really get an answer. So they confront him again, and they manage to basically erase the door. It was kind of confusing. The kid paints the door at some point when he's beginning to remember everything, and then in the real world he puts a bunch of paint over the painting of the door, and that somehow erases the door in the further. I don't know. It was kind of confusing the way they ended up getting rid of this, but there was some sort of connection there, you know. The rules are still a little unclear. But like I said, in any case, if this is like the end of the Insidious franchise, if this is like, you know, a final kind of knot on the bow, or however you want to phrase that, I actually don't mind this at all. You know, like I feel like this is a more satisfying conclusion than them just erasing their memories, because now by the end of this one they remember everything that happened and they close off the door, and you know, seemingly the further won't be an issue, at least, you know, until the next movie, I'm sure. But something that I feel like at the very end of the movie they kind of, you know, kind of nudged their direction in the promise that I felt has always been part of this, was the idea that it's a family of people who can all astral project, you know, into the spirit world, or into like just, you know, the further is just a location within the spirit world, or whatever this dimension is. So it's always felt like you're essentially, you know, you have a superpower, really. Like, you know, like you have a group of people who can, you know, go to sleep and then start messing with things in the real world, but you're like a spirit, you know? So I don't know, I always felt like if you get away from this further aspect with these ghosts, there's a lot more other interesting things you can kind of do with this. And this one kind of goes into that at the very, very end. You know, they see Elaine, the old lady, they see her again, and she's basically like, you know, you're gonna be able to say goodbye to your mom, you're gonna be able to say goodbye to everyone, you're gonna, you know, you're just gonna get stronger from here now that you remembered all your abilities. And like, you know, I always felt like this is a franchise that can kind of go from just being a ghost, you know, jump scare franchise to maybe something a little bit more interesting, because they've planted the seeds there. You know, you have especially now that the kid is college aged, right? Like, you can make the next movie about him, just to, you know, further exploring his astral projection abilities. You know, like, I don't know, I feel like there's something there. But in any case, as an end cap to the Insidious franchise, for now at least, yeah, I think this did the job good enough. You know, like I said, maybe it doesn't ever get as scary as the first one, but I say if you watch it with a full theater and everyone's kind of jumping and kind of like, whoa, ah, you know, everyone's reacting at the same time, you're gonna have a good time. So yeah, that's Insidious, The Red Door. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.